All right, we are live, live.
Welcome back to Radio Play. Hit me,
Hit me,
baby, one
baby,
more
one more
time.
time. Oh, baby, baby. Ow.
That was good.
Let me just say that I'm like one of the biggest Britney Spears fans ever. One of the biggest. Like I love her. Like she is like my Madonna for all of those 80s folks that were growing up with Madonna. Although Madonna to me is like I also grew up on Madonna, although Madonna was already older. You mean we all know how much I love her. But Britney
Yeah.
Spears was kind of like for my generation, that big pop star while we were growing up. So man, I love that woman. So today's
Yeah.
episode, for those of you guys listening, is all about Britney Spears and her new documentary.
Yeah. Which is heartbreaking. I mean, I always connected with Britney. I mean, I guess I was around their age, maybe a little older, but um, all those pop stars in the 90s. And
Hmm.
Britney was just so uh, fun and innocent and free. And that's how I saw her, like social. Like
Yep.
she came off as like the popular girl from school that was
Hmm.
kind of cool with everybody. And I really admired that and respected that about her. And her music was so much fun.
Well, before I get into the spiel with you, why don't you tell our listeners where they can find the documentary, how they can
Yeah,
watch it?
I struggled. I struggled. I had to have a friend send me a link because I was like, I know it's on Hulu, but I don't know exactly how to get to it. So,
Mm.
and I Googled Britney on there and it just said the New York Times Presents. And that's exactly where you want to go. It's season 1, episode 6 of the New York Times Presents. And that's this whole episode in this docu-series. And this episode 6 is about Britney's conservatorship.
Hmm.
And
And it's the title is Framing Britney Spears, which, by the way, I just read an article, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, that now um, Netflix is working. They're already in the works, they're already filming, but they will release their own documentary about Britney Spears.
oh, wow.
So we will have a follow-up episode, of course.
And
But
I will be watching.
oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. So listen, just like how you described all of those points of what Britney Spears was to you, very similar to my takeaways, right? Like I saw Britney Spears as such a free, empowering young lady, and I loved her music, and I thought that she was out there in the music world being such a positive influence, actually. And this is another, and I'm speaking as a young woman at that time. She was, many saw her or described her as a bad influence, and to me, a young teenager at that time, it wasn't like that at all. It was kind of like she was an empowering figure that kind of made you go out there and be yourself and be a woman, which is what everyone's preaching nowadays. But all of a sudden, Britney Spears was doing it back then, and it was a bad thing. Which, let's not even start to talk about all the women before her that were just as sexy, just as empowering, like, when I say empowering, I don't just mean it like going out there and go get yours as a woman, but also expressing that sexuality and that sexiness, and it was okay. Like, how many women before her didn't do the same thing? And all of a sudden Britney Spears wanted to be crucified for doing what so many before her had already done. So from a teenager's perspective, Britney Spears did not come off, at least to me, in the wrong way at all, you know um
Yeah.
but I saw her as such a influential pop figure, and in a community that was governed and ruled by men, right? It was boy band era at that time. I mean, in sync, Backstreet Boys, there was a whole bunch. I mean, I'm having like a brain fart right now, but Old Town was another one. There were so many, right? And here
Yeah.
comes Britney Spears being a bad bitch, and everyone wants to crucify her.
I
Because
think
let's
it
not
was
even.
like it was the dichotomy, right? Where when she first came onto the scene, she was outspoken about waiting till marriage and stuff like that. And I think they thought, well, your image doesn't really add up to that. Like you're being overtly sexual. But for me, I saw that as dancers, a flair
Yeah.
for dance. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I saw that as, well, dancers are already always kind of showing off their bodies.
Which she
And I
was,
grew up
right?
as a dancer. I
Yep.
mean, you remember dance class, we're wearing leotards and tights. You need to
Hmm.
see the body when you're dancing. So I never saw that as like, when people bring that up, I'm always like, well, she's dancing though. She's a dancer first. You know what I mean? So that's how I saw it. I mean, I understood. I wasn't allowed. I come from a household where I wasn't allowed to watch MTV because
Okay.
it was so sexualized. And I was,
Hmm.
you know, a very, what's the word? I was Catholic and I was very suppressed, I guess,
Hmm.
or oppressed, whatever the word is. Um, but when she came out with that "Hit Me Baby One More Time" in the Catholic schoolgirl uniform, and I was still wearing my Catholic schoolgirl uniform at the time, I realized, oh, there's some power here. And I didn't understand how to own that power for myself until I
Hmm.
guess, I saw women like her
Yeah.
owning.
And it's funny because you just said you weren't allowed to watch MTV because it was so sexual, right? But Britney Spears wasn't the only one on MTV making MTV
Right.
sexual, right?
Oh, she
So
didn't start it. No,
so
not
it's
at
like,
all.
she was like, like again, crucified for this. And it's like, come on, guys. Like, I mean, if you watch this documentary, you'll see so many other celebrities describing her like this heathen. And it's like, you guys need to chill. Like, if you don't want your kids watching it, then like your parents did to you, then control that.
Yeah.
But
I still
I
snuck watched it. I still watched it because I wanted music. Like I loved music
like
and I liked
many
dancing.
generations before us, like many
Yeah.
generations before us.
So I still watched it, and my brother would be like, "I hear you listening to MTV." Like, shut up. But
But
yeah,
let's also talk about all the other pop females in that time period, right? We had Christina Aguilera, we had Jessica Simpson, we had Willa Ford. Who else? Who else was
oh,
big during that? Like just those three. Think about them. Pink, another one that came out in that time period.
yeah,
All of those were sexy women who could sing their heads off and dance. Why weren't they getting the same
yeah,
attention? Negative attention, I guess we should say.
yeah. I guess it is the virginal image, and then it doesn't add up. I don't know. I don't know why she did. Plus, she started on Mickey Mouse Club, and you know how Mickey Mouse Club's all about the wholesome.
Hmm.
And then the women from Mickey Mouse Club tend to sexualize to. There's this theory that they do that so they can break the contract with Disney.
Oh,
Like
well,
they
yeah,
come out
that's a
and be
good point.
really sexy.
I have heard that
Yeah,
before in the past. I mean, who knows if that's true or not, but I
yeah.
mean, maybe who knows, but um I don't know. I just had such a I and going back to the documentary when I was watching this, again, so close to my heart because I love the woman. And I think that she comes from such a good family, such a wholesome family. That girl next door, she is a good person. And I think that part of the issue was, and part of her struggle, again, and I hate doing, in a way, I feel like, honestly, like doing this episode and doing this podcast right now, I feel like another one, like another statistic adding to the group, like, who are you to speak for Britney? You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
because I feel like everyone has given their opinion except Britney Spears, which one day I'm sure she will. But I feel, just from observing and relating to her as an artist in a huge way, and growing up with her music, like, the fans are a huge part of this documentary because they're the ones that are out defending Britney Spears. We're out here like, free this woman. Like, why are you continuing to hold her back? Because I feel like she's constantly trying to be told what to do throughout her entire career. One. Two, the biggest thing for me is, in watching Britney talk throughout the years in certain interviews, is that so much money was put into training Britney Spears to become this perfect pop star, this perfect image, but not enough time, money, or attention was put into training Britney Spears how to interview like a bad bitch and defend herself. Because if you
Yeah.
notice when she's interviewed, by people who are alpha in the interview and taking control of the interview, she breaks down. She doesn't know how to answer or defend herself or stand her ground. Again, there's a lot happening there, right? She's going through so much. She's depressed. Like the life of an artist and of a pop star at that level, you can't even imagine everything
But I think
you're
that's also
handling,
part of the reason. That's part of the reason we love her and connect with her is the vulnerability. I mean, I think the vulnerability is part of her image too. I mean, I wish she felt more, I wish she could have been more protected, of course. I
Mhm.
think that she became a target, and people
Exactly.
smelled weakness.
And took
so I
advantage.
and took total advantage, and she didn't really fight back, and I thought that was really classy, actually, to be honest, to just not comment on certain
But I mean,
things.
there's a way to be classy and still defend yourself and stand your ground. There's I believe it was Barbara Walters interview that I mean,
Diane
Diane
Sawyer, right?
Sawyer.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much for correcting me there. It was a Diane Sawyer interview, and poor Britney, I feel like she was being chewed up. She was being chewed up, and it's like you could have still been classy, still been able to defend yourself in a classy way. I'm not saying to like go tell everybody, to stick it where it belongs. I'm not saying that, because there is a way to be able to defend yourself in a classy way. But I do feel like going back to your point, they just took advantage because she was so tired and weak and just didn't know how to approach those questions or that subject matter specifically when it came to the media or the way she dressed or the Justin Timberlake topic, right? That was another situation in her life and her career that I feel like the media ran with it and once again made her look like the bad guy and the guy got away with it, with just riding the wave and nothing was ever really no finger was ever pointed at him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which after this documentary, what was released on Instagram, on social media?
An apology.
A public apology, right?
Right.
Oh, wow. What a coincidence.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, a little late, but you do what you got to do for your image.
you always appreciate an apology because it's better than none at all. But like specifically case by case matter when it comes to this, a little late for sure. And like you said, you do
Yeah.
what you got to do for your image. I mean, who knows? I'm not even going to give my opinion on that, but it's just so. I feel like it's just so wrong and dirty in so many ways. The way that Britney Spears has been treated throughout the years, and it's just not right. And she's such an amazing woman. I have a friend of mine who's a backup dancer for her, and the things that he says that has worked closely with her that says about her are amazing. She's a doll, and such a good person, I feel like, and has always just been handed or yeah, has always just been handed the shitty end of the stick.
Yeah. And I think it is the fans that felt called to protect her. I remember
Yep.
watching the video "Leave Britney Alone," Chris Crocker's video on YouTube. I remember watching that and thinking, "Wait, what's going on?"
Yeah.
Because at that point, the media frenzy had been kind of normalized to me. Like I didn't really understand the impact it would have on somebody. And so when I watch those interviews, I'm thinking that's a normal reaction.
Yes.
She's in a circus. That's why the
Yeah.
song Circus came out. She's literally in a circus. And that is a normal human emotional response.
Hmm.
So she didn't dissociate from it. She was feeling it. She was living it. And so but I do understand what you're saying, that was shown. I think that was used against her to show that she
Yes.
wasn't stable. And I think that's where
Everything was
the
kind of like
injustice
twisted.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that was
Twisted.
actually a normal reaction that shows she has
Hmm.
emotions. Like, can you imagine holding up all that pressure as one person? She was handling it actually really well,
Yeah.
but that was used against her, I think.
And what are your thoughts on the whole conservatorship with the father and that whole, which to be honest, I didn't know much about until I saw this documentary. I knew that was an issue, but I never knew as much as I know now after watching the documentary because I had never really researched. So what are your thoughts and takeaway on that?
I actually thought it was a rumor. I didn't
Mm,
realize it was actually what was happening.
true. Yeah.
And then when they're saying, no, that's actually what she's going through. I mean, I remember when she was filming Circus and watching the behind the scenes and her father was there. I didn't understand what that meant. I thought they had reunited. I didn't know it was
Mm.
legally. I thought it was like he was back in her life after being estranged. I didn't know he's now in charge of her money and her whereabouts and everything she's doing. I didn't realize that. I didn't even know what a conservatorship was.
And I had some questions in watching the documentary because I saw that her mom was very much involved in Britney Spears' life, in the beginning stages of her career. And then all of a sudden, as an older Britney Spears going through all these issues with the conservatorship and the father all of a sudden is the one showing up in court saying that he wants to have control. And I'm like, well, if there's such a big problem with the father having control, Britney saying no, then why can't the mom do it? Like, what's going on there? And then just recently, the mom, Britney Spears' mom said, okay, I want to try to, be more involved. Or I'm just, again, I'm not trying to put words in anyone's mouth or anything. I'm just giving like my opinion as to how it looked and the unanswered questions that I was kind of left with. Like, why couldn't the mom be the one to take more control if the father was not the first choice for Britney, right? Because it seems like
Yeah.
like her mom always had a great relationship with her and her sister. So I was a little confused as to why maybe the mom wasn't the one that took more control of the conservatorship.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but that's a really good point. I
Yeah,
also
I
heard on it.
Mhm,
I heard on another podcast, I think it was H3 podcast. I was listening to
mhm.
their episode on Britney. I heard, and I don't know how, I didn't fact check this, but I think he mentioned that Jamie Spears gets paid $1 million a year to manage Britney and her estate and all of that. And I was thinking, what?
That's
Why?
nuts. But again, based on what I've seen, what I've heard, and what I've read from uh, Jamie's past behaviors in reference to his daughter's career and her fame, it doesn't surprise me that he's just after the money. At least that's how it comes off, right? That's how it
It does come
looks.
off that way. Yeah.
That's how I could be wrong, but that's how it looks. But another thing that I was really struck with and like took away when watching the documentary was I remember so vividly when Britney Spears, shaved her head. And I remember when she did hit with the umbrella, that vehicle, and broke the window and kind of had, and what I remember is how the media portrayed it. Britney Spears has lost her mind. She needs to be in a mental facility. Angry Britney, she's just like not the same. She's crazy, not fit to be a mother. Like that's everything that I remember, right? Because again, that's what the media's pumping, that's what they're putting out there. But then in going back and watching the documentary and really hearing the photographer's story and really kind of seeing what Britney is going through during that time period, I just see a pop star who is fed up of having people chase her down everywhere she goes. She has not one moment of silence or tranquility to herself. One. Two, I see a mother who is pissed because all she wants is to be with her kids. A desperate mother that just wants to hold her
Yeah.
sons. That's what I saw. And it's like, hello, stop and really
Yeah.
question, what would you do?
And like his answers just seemed so, like, I felt like the way he was talking about his job and how, and it is true in a way that the celebrity does need the exposure, needs the fame to keep themselves relevant, but he was acting like, what he was doing wasn't intrusive, right? That she
Yeah.
enjoyed it. And he's like, I approached her and I said, I'm just going to be taking some pictures, just ask you a few questions. I'm like,
Who knows?
does it look like she wants that? Can you not read the room? Like, it just sounded so obtuse to me. Like, he still doesn't get it after all these years. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. It was very, it's just Rach, and I'm sure the listeners, feel the same way. It's like it's such a difficult world, the world of an artist, and especially the world of a pop star at that level, you know? And it takes a certain type of inner strength to be able to handle it all. And I don't think that any pop star at any level has been able to handle fame at that level perfectly. Because there's no such thing. Like, there's no such thing.
No.
But I think the one that has come closest to handling it the best, of course, has been Madonna. Because she grabbed that bad promo and turned it around. Used it to her advantage.
I mean, she was just like, I don't give an F. You know what I mean?
You want to talk about me and my vajayjay? That's great, because I'm going to take that article and I'm going to make it mine. I'm going to own it.
I know. And the moments where Madonna chokes up are so rare. You know what I mean? I can count maybe one or two where it's like she nearly shows emotion.
She takes a moment, gathers herself, exactly, and then speaks. You know, you have to, you do see that moment, just like how you did it, like, you know.
Exactly.
Oh my God, for those listeners that are not watching us on YouTube, I kind of did the whole the visual, right? The facial visual. So just letting the listeners.
You showed us. Yeah. Perfect impression. Yeah. And I relate to Britney Spears. She's a Sagittarius, just like me. So we both have that like youthful, playful thing going on.
Totally. Both of you are like the same in that sense, for sure.
And she's really funny. That's another like Sagittarius trait, is like
humor. She's such a cute, like, I think she just, like, you could tell her vibe, her soul is just so genuine. And that's why she has so many loyal fans, and why so many people just love her so much, because she is that girl next door and that genuine soul. Like, you could just read that, you feel that, you can't make that up. And at the same time, all of those barracudas out there just want to take advantage and, try to tear her down. But I specifically go ahead. No, go ahead, and I'll tell you what I have to say.
I was just going to say, I do think that authenticity is a strength, though. I mean, because
but others see it as a weakness.
Yeah, and I think that I actually think she's okay with being authentic and vulnerable in front of people. I think that she thinks that's my craft anyway. Like, that's how I see it as a Sagittarius. And I know that not all Sagittarius are the same, and I'm probably more emotional than even she is, but I see that as like, I'm an artist. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. That's what I have trained myself to do. So you're welcome that you're getting this. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's how I see it. Like, if I cry, I don't feel weak. I'm like, you're welcome. Like, you get a moment of vulnerability.
No, and I don't want you to mistake what I'm saying. I don't think that that's me personally. I don't think that that's a sign of weakness at all. I think that others might see that as a sign of weakness. People in the industry, journalists, people who are out there, they have to interview, and just the media in general, they might see that as a sign of weakness and try to attack through there. And that's how they've gotten her.
I think the thing is, we need to shift that perception more than anything, because I do believe, just like you said, and I think I had this realization while we were talking, is that just because I can see that that's actually strength to be vulnerable and authentic, that's not how it's perceived, in society and culture yet. We're moving slowly towards that, where we're understanding vulnerability more. But I think that it is being used against her, and that's where it's unjust.
And to be quite frank, I don't think that she's a weak person at all. I think that she's very strong, because if you notice parts of the documentary, when she's on stage and it's showtime and they're working on that choreography and they're working on the lights and they're working on the show, she's out there telling them, hey, I want this, I want that, and giving direction and being the boss. But again, if you go back and watch, there's people giving pushback. Something diva, someone throws out at her, and she's like, and I forgot what she said exactly, but she did fight back. And I was like, you go, Britney. That's right. Because you know what? At the end of the day, if Britney wasn't the boss and she wasn't a diva, you wouldn't have a job. So you better thank baby Jesus that Britney Spears is Britney Spears, and that she's out here breaking records and being a pop star, because she's paying your bills. So it's like, don't do that. Don't be that person. Don't be that guy or that girl. Because come on, you have to give credit where credit is due and know your place. That's another thing. In our industry, egos love to fly around like gunshots, and they just slap you in the face with them. And it's like,
Yeah.
dude, like chill out, know your place. She's the star, she's the artist, and you're here to work on her show.
Right.
Thank you very much.
And she's the one that has to get up there and be inspired every single night and give all of her life force. Like,
absolutely.
How about you give her what she needs to get there? Her vision.
Absolutely.
And also, I was taken aback by her brother's comments too in the documentary. I was like, whoa.
OMG. I totally forgot about that. You just brought that one up. I was like, dirty. I was like father, like son. That's what I thought in my head.
I did too. I was like, I guess they felt they had to team up or something. I don't know, but I was sort of like, that's a little like, why are you telling strangers that about your family?
I was like, that is so rude. That is so rude and disrespectful. I was like, the apple obviously didn't fall too far from the tree with him and his father, because I'm like, oh.
I was about really not being trained for interviews.
That they all need to I'm gonna have to put them through a PR training. Oh my God. I love that woman. I really do. She is I just need her to know. And like, if there is a miracle and Britney Spears ends up listening to this podcast, because anything is possible with social media, but I just want her to know that she has influenced me so much as an artist. And I remember being like 14, 15 years old, sitting in front of this Presario desktop computer, and my parents having bought me the first album of Baby One More Time, the CD. And I remember that CD was also kind of like a DVD. So I would put it into that DVD ROM in my Presario desktop computer, and I would watch the video over and over and over. And I was just like so mesmerized on her talent, her beauty, her charisma, and just her ability to be able to project such genuine vibes and such a genuine spirit through a Presario desktop computer. And then continuing to be so sexy, so amazing, so talented, collaborating throughout the years, keeping herself up to date with the times as the years changed and music changed. And her collaboration with Madonna to me was like heaven on earth. Like that was everything I have ever wanted as a woman.
Me Against the Music.
Yes. Oh my God. And the video and them performing it at the MTV Video Music Awards. The famous kiss between her, Christina Aguilera, Madonna, all of it. I just thought it was so amazing. And, I just think that it's all part of entertainment, and you have to just enjoy it and ride with it and not take it so seriously, guys. That's why it's called entertainment, meant to entertain.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Like that song she came out with, More, I think was the name of it, where she was making her comeback, and it flopped.
Do
you remember that?
Oh, I love that song.
We were all, well, not the song that flopped, but her performance at the MTV Music Awards. She was opening. Do you remember that? There was so much anticipation, and then you could tell her spirit was just crushed at that point.
So many. I know. I loved it though.
And I know, I was just like, there's something going on with her, because it wasn't her, there was something.
Yeah.
But the way she's carried herself and handled everything, and
I'm actually looking up
her Instagram now. People are.
I was researching because I was just researching because I couldn't remember if she had done a Super Bowl halftime show, and she did in 2001 with Aerosmith and NSYNC.
NSYNC, yeah, that was awesome. That was one
of the best halftime shows ever.
They sing "Walk This Way," right? as one of the
Yes.
numbers. I remember that. That was so epic.
Good. So good. So good. And Aerosmith, oh my God, that's another episode. Oh, whom
my
I got
God.
to meet and see front row. My hands were on the stage and I was like this. Amazing. But we'll talk about that in another episode. I do want to say this before we say goodbye and wrap this episode up really fast. Your favorite Britney Spears song and music video, go.
Womanizer.
Ooh.
I could dance
Mine,
to that all day long.
oh, I love it. That's a great one. Mine is I'm a Slave for You.
Oh my God. Can I change it? No, I love that one too. It's so good. It is dance music.
I
It
love
is
it.
made to dance.
I
Yeah.
love it. The best. The best. But on that note, I want to tell everyone listening out there who is a Britney Spears fan, thank you from another Britney Spears fan for always following her and being loyal to her because she is amazing and we will never stop loving her. And to Britney Spears, if you are listening from Miami, Florida, mwah, te quiero mucho.
We love you. Free Britney. Hashtag free Britney.
Free Britney. Listen, she's gonna come on one day and shut everybody up, and I can't wait for that day.
Me
But
too.
again, knowing Britney, she's gonna do it in such a beautiful, classic, sweet way that I'm just gonna be like, this is why I love you.
She'll just be so grateful that she has her freedom because
Exactly.
I mean, that's the most important thing, you know?
Yep, that's what we all want. All right, guys. So I hope you had fun with us here today in Radio Play with Rachel and Leah. Next episode is coming soon. So make sure that you are sticking with us on Instagram, on YouTube, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.